Moving left, trailing 3. The snap to Winston. Good protect. Pass the right. Caught. Touchdown. Tampa Bay. O.J. Howard. Fire them cannons. What a play. Set back of the fullback is Vita Vea from the 1. And the ball play action bootleg roll pass to Vita Vea. Touchdown. Tampa Bay. The big fella scores his first career touchdown. Oh boy, what a catch. He was wide open. Bucks win. Bucks win. Bucks win. Fire them cannons.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Swords Up Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about our 53-man roster, which was released today. So I'm going to be breaking that down and giving you my reaction to the players that did end up making the roster. Now, just a disclaimer, obviously this is just the final 53-man roster that we have released at the end of training camp. Now, obviously, players will probably be cut from this initial roster, and then we will also sign players that we did cut to our practice squad once they clear waivers if they are not picked up by another team. So in this video, I'm just going to be focusing on the players that were kind of on the fringe or the players that I didn't really anticipate making the roster. I'm not going to really focus on the starters because those were pretty obvious candidates to make the roster. So if you do want to see a little bit of a more in-depth analysis on other players that I didn't mention in this video, go check out my 53-man roster prediction video. But now getting into it, looking at the quarterbacks, they're all the same as I predicted. No changes there. Running backs, we have 3 running backs, unlike the 4 that I predicted. We have Ronald Jones, LaShawn McCoy, Keyshawn Vaughn. But honestly, this is probably going to change. Since the signing of Leonard Fournette hasn't still officially been announced by the team, he'll probably be added to the roster once the signing is officially announced by the team and another player on the roster will be cut or sent to the practice squad. But moving on to wide receivers, I had 6 making the team. 7 did end up making the roster. The addition to that was undrafted rookie John Hurst. The coaches were pretty impressed with him during this training camp, so we decided to keep him around. Now, moving on to tight ends, we had 4 just like I predicted, but there was one difference. Anthony Auclair ended up making the final roster in place of Tanner Hudson, which was a little bit of a surprise for me just because I like Tanner Hudson more, but Anthony Auclair was on the roster last year, but I believe he missed a lot of time because of injuries, so it makes sense to bring him back on the roster this year. Offensive linemen, we had 9. In my prediction video, I believe I had 9 as well. John Molchin, undrafted rookie, made the team, as well as Aaron Stinney. Both of those players are guards, and they were replacing A.Q. Shipley and Anthony Fabiano on my list. Moving on to defensive linemen, I thought 6 was going to be a lot, but that's how many did end up making the team. Khalil Davis, I'm happy for him that he made the team, 6th-round rookie this year. But in addition, Patrick O'Connor made the team instead of Kyle Love, which I was mildly surprised by, not completely though, as Patrick O'Connor did play in 8 games last year as a rotational player, so he fills in instead of Kyle Love. Moving on to outside linebackers, there are 5 that made the team. I had 4 in my prediction video. Cam Gill, an undrafted rookie, made the team, as well as Quentin Bell, a 7th-round pick from 2019, who has spent time on our practice squad as well as the Raiders practice squad. Moving on to inside linebackers, those are the same 4 players making the team. Jack Cichy, Levante David, Devin White, and Kevin Minter. Cornerbacks, I had 6 making the team in my prediction video, but 5 ended up making the team. Parnell Motley, an undrafted rookie from Oklahoma, did end up making the team, which is good for him. I had Mazzy Wilkins making the team as well, but he was cut, so that brought it down to 5 corners. Safeties were the same 4 that I predicted: Andrew Adams, Mike Edwards, Jordan Whitehead, Antoine Winfield. And special teams, Matt Gay was cut to make way for Ryan Suckup, so that means that Ryan Suckup has won the kicking job and will start as our Week 1 kicker. I'm not really surprised by that. I thought Matt Gay would make it out just because he's just a younger kicker, spent last year on the team. But the Buccaneers did end up deciding to opt for the experienced, more accurate veteran kicker in Suckup. So that is it for the 53-man roster. Just looking at the list of the players that did end up getting cut as a result of our roster being trimmed down to 53. We had guard Zach Bailey, running back Raymond Calais, who was our 7th-round rookie from this year, outside linebacker Kazeen Daniels, inside linebacker Noah Dawkins, outside linebacker Michael Divinity, who I had making the team, an undrafted rookie. He didn't make it. Safety Dakota Dixon, guard Anthony Fabiano, I had him making the team. He did not make it. Kicker Matt Gay, as I said, was cut, but I expect him to make the practice squad. Wide receiver Cyril Grayson could also make the practice squad. A lot of these players here that were cut, if they pass through waivers, will most likely end up being put on the practice squad, considering that they were on kind of the bubble. Safety Javon Hagan, tight end Tanner Hudson, defensive lineman Jeremiah Ledbetter, who I think might also be on the practice squad. Center Nick Leverett, tight end Cody McElroy, cornerback Herb Miller, wide receiver Bryant Mitchell, running back Dario Ogunbowale. That was probably one of my surprise cuts. Wide receiver John Pearson, defensive lineman Benning Potoe, inside linebacker Chappelle Russell, who was a 7th-round pick from this year, wide receiver Spencer Schnell, center Zach Shackelford, cornerback Reed Sinnett, who I think will also be on the practice squad, and cornerback Mazzy Wilkins, who could make the practice squad as well. Any of these players that were cut have a really good chance of making the practice squad, considering that a lot of these players were on the fringe of making the team. You know, with the 53-man roster, there's a lot of close calls that the coaches do have to make. So the best bet is that they clear waivers and that they can add them to the practice squad. And if need be, they call them up to the active roster if an injury were to occur or if somebody was cut from the initial roster, which I could see happening, as does with every year on most teams. Now I'm just going to go through my most surprising cuts. First of all, the most surprising to me was Dario Ogunbowale. Obviously, I mentioned him already. Tanner Hudson, I said I liked him. He'll probably be on the practice squad. Kicker Matt Gay, I was mildly surprised that he got cut, but I definitely understand the decision. I think Suckup is an upgrade at the kicker position. Center A.Q. Shipley, he wasn't on the initial list of players that were released for some reason on the team's official website, but he was cut. I think he'll return to the roster at some point before week 1 once somebody is cut. But yeah, like I said, expect additional cuts. But those were my most surprising cuts to the team. Honestly, the roster played out mostly how I predicted it to be. There were little changes here and there. Not much difference from my predictions, though. So honestly, I'd say my predictions were spot on, and I think our roster turned out pretty well. In other team news, Mike Evans has agreed to restructure his contract, significantly increasing cap space on our team because of the signing of Leonard Fournette. We were really low on cap space. I think we only had like $100,000 left of cap room. But Mike Evans has agreed to significantly restructure his contract, creating $9.56 million in cap space, which means his base salary has been reduced to $4 million for this year, and $12.75 million in guaranteed money has been converted into per game roster bonuses. So now that puts Mike Evans' cap hit at $8.38 million. So Mike Evans taking a team-friendly pay cut in order to help ease out some cap space because of the Leonard Fournette signing. Maybe making room for additional signings during the season if need be. But honestly, this is understandable. Good move from Mike to do this, and this really does help out the team. But that's it for this video. Let me know what you think of the roster in the comments below. Obviously, a lot of changes are going to be made to this roster, so we'll just have to see week by week. In terms of future content, I'm probably going to be doing a live stream sometime later this week with my predictions to every single game this season. Since I'm not going to actually be doing predictions week by week, since I probably don't have time for that because I am starting school in a couple of days. So unless I do end up having time for that, I'm not planning for that to happen. From now on, content mainly is going to be analysis to games a day after they happen, and also predictions and previews to games the day before they happen. So, for example, if we have a game on a Sunday like we do, in week 1 against the Saints. It'll be Saturday will be the preview video, then Monday will be the reaction and analysis video, and maybe there will be some content here and there in between regarding news in the NFL and on the Buccaneers. But that is it for me. Thank you for watching, and go Bucs.